The Yellow Brick Road. This video does not reflect the actual views of real people. These are actors playing a role to entertain audiences. No persons or animals were harmed in the making of this video. Gosh, I love YouTube and I love Google.
Welcome to the Yellow Brick Road. I'm Jordan, this is James, and today we're going to be doing fan request number 7. Ayn Rand's interview with Mike Wallace from the black and white days. Like television color. Not really, I don't think they're talking about race or anything. Just before color TVs. So Ayn Rand is interesting. Well, I started digging into her work, and what I found out is a lot of these newer revolutionaries are just brainchildren of this particular philosopher. And they might even use these ideas and sort of bastardize them to facilitate a certain ideology, and maybe missed what she was saying. Granted, I think her ideas of the world are incomplete, quite incomplete, at least verbally. I mean, the way the idea works in her head probably sounds about right, but the practical use and the use of words leaves it incomplete for me. So this is Ayn Rand, 1959 interview with Mike Wallace. I have no idea who that is.
This is Mike Wallace with another television portrait from our gallery of colorful people. Throughout the United States, small pockets of intellectuals have become involved in a new and unusual philosophy which would seem to strike at the very roots of our society. The fountainhead of this philosophy is a novelist, Ayn Rand, whose two major works, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, have been bestsellers.
Real quick, have you heard anything about this person?
On Instagram.
Any ideas from this person?
No.
None of the films or books?
Don't remember.
Okay.
We'll try to find out more about her revolutionary creed and about Miss Rand herself in just a moment. And now our story. Down through history, various political and philosophical movements have sprung up. Most of them have died. Some, however, like democracy or communism, take hold and affect the entire world. Here in the United States, perhaps the most challenging and unusual new philosophy has been forged by a novelist, Ayn Rand. Miss Rand's point of view is still comparatively unknown in America, but if it ever did take hold, it would revolutionize our lives. And to begin with, I wonder if I can ask you to capsulize, I know this is difficult. Can I ask you to capsulize your philosophy? What is Randism?
First of all, I do not call it Randism, and I don't like that name. I call it objectivism, meaning a philosophy based on objective reality. Now, let me explain it as briefly as I can. First, my philosophy is based on the concept that reality exists as an objective absolute. That man's mind, reason, is his limit of perceivability, and that man needs a rational morality. I am primarily the creator of a new code of morality, which has so far been believed impossible, namely a morality not based on faith, not on faith, not on arbitrary whim, not on emotion, not on arbitrary edicts, mystical or social, but on reason, a morality which can be proved by means of logic.
So,
It's clear she wants to hack an election somewhere.
yeah, well, in order to establish a rational morality and an objective reality, you have to first prove that the observer of these things is rational and objective. To prove that that's an actual thing. In order to view the world objective, the viewer has to be quote unquote objective. Just throwing that out there.
Which can be demonstrated to be true and necessary.
All right.
Now, may I define my morality? Because this is merely an introduction. My morality is based on man's life as a standard of value. And since man's mind is his basic means of survival, I hope that if man wants to live on Earth and to live as a human being, he has to hold reason as an absolute. By which I mean that he has to hold reason as his only guide to action, and that he must live by the independent judgment of his own mind.
And reason, and then you add that with logic, and those things seem relative to me. And if someone flips a penny every day, and every time they do it, they get $100, it's like, oh, it's reasonable to flip pennies every day because you'll get $100. It's a reasonable thing to do. And that's just a thought experiment and hypothetical, but it still knocks down that theory, I would say, quite a bit. I think you need more than logic and reason. Sometimes you need unreason. Is that a word? Right?
It's not a word on it.
Why don't you kill? Because I choose to. Like, there's no logical reason. There's no reason. It's just, I choose.
I don't know what she means, really. Some
Yeah,
people have different meanings.
You need room for the irrational, too.
What's
Someone,
logical for her?
the kid who just naturally does the right moral thing, right, without ever being taught to do it. Now he's just stuck on an island because he has no reason behind it. He's just like, that just seems wrong. I don't know why. It's just, that's wrong. So I don't do that. Right.
That his highest moral purpose is the achievement of his own happiness, and that he must not force other people, nor accept their right to force him, that each man must live as an end in himself and follow his own rational self-interest.
What do you think about that?
Clearly she's reading something.
What do you think about the idea that man's highest moral expression is
I know what she
serving
said.
their own happiness or something like that?
I know what she said. Well, again, is it pleasure or is it happiness?
I think she means happiness.
I would hope so.
What do you think about that? Is that actually true?
Well, I would say, as far as doing the right thing and being an absolute good, which would be like happiness from there. I don't know if it's broken down a little bit more, maybe, for me.
Which is why I call our work incomplete, at least verbally, or at least the work I've seen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I've seen his interviews and shit.
If
Maybe she explained. Well,
shit's 27 minutes long.
her books are fiction, so I don't know if she explains it thoroughly there, but
I don't know.
yeah. The highest expression is self-serving, I think, is the direction she's heading in.
Self-serving.
Yeah, you serve your own interests. If you don't serve your interests, then it's immoral. She'll get to it.
To a certain degree,
She'll get to that part.
That's, well, if you don't, it's like helping yourself, I cut off my arm to save all of you people. It's like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
No self-sacrifice needed, really. Versus, I need to help myself before you people, It'll be immoral if I do that. It's like, well, no, because so the moral thing to do is to help others, including yourself, simultaneously. So I'm not sure. I have to know. I don't know. I'm not really sure what she means.
And she's saying helping yourself helps others.
Or vice versa.
Because you could get in the way of their development, right?
Yeah, they could. Couldn't they? Someone could get in the way of someone else's building of a tower, you know? Maybe. That means nothing. I'm just joking. Right. Go ahead.
May I interrupt now?
You may.
Because you put this philosophy to work in your novel Atlas Shrugged.
Right?
You demonstrate in human terms in your novel Atlas Shrugged. And let me start by quoting from a review of this novel Atlas Shrugged that appeared in Newsweek. It said that you are out to destroy almost every edifice in the contemporary American way of life. Our Judeo-Christian religion, our modified government-regulated capitalism, are ruled by the majority will. Other reviews said that you scorn churches as a concept of God. Are these accurate criticisms?
Yes. I agree with the fact, but not the essence of this criticism. Namely, if I am challenging the base of all these institutions, I'm challenging the moral code of altruism, the precept that man's moral duty is to live for others, that man must sacrifice himself to others, which is the present day morality.
In fact, sacrifice himself for others. This now we get to the point.
One moment, since I'm challenging the base, I necessarily challenge the institutions, you name it, which are a result of that morality. And now what is self-sacrifice?
Yes, what is self-sacrifice? You say that you do not like the altruism by which we live. You like a certain kind of Ayn Randist selfishness.
I would say that I don't like so weak a word. I consider it evil. And self-sacrifice is the precept that man needs to serve others in order to justify his existence. That his moral duty is to serve others. That is what most people believe today.
Well, yes.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's like a man running around town washing everybody else's feet while his get dirty and dirty and dirty and dirtier. And
Very possibly, but then you had the Jesus character, right?
his feet get clean too.
Yeah, but he sacrifices himself, or whatever, that's how the story goes. Sacrifices himself to, whatever, clear sin, or something like that.
Really?
That's the fundamentalist story, isn't it?
Take everybody sins upon himself and sacrifice himself in order to create a bridge.
What up, Pyramid?
Audio is harsh.
Oh, you mean like an echo? Or is it just a 1950s?
Welcome, and there's no black people in this video. We now have a Russian.
But, yeah. I think it all depends on the situation. But at the same time, I think the sacrifice would always be self-serving to some degree. Like if your main motive is to make sure everyone else is alright, but yourself, in the sense of your physical well-being. Yeah, I saw the Donahue one too. So yeah, even if you do the whatever, like you jump into a fire pit and everyone gets to live, like it's still somewhat self-serving. As in your goals and ambition are to protect the world or whatever.
We're taught to feel concern for our fellow man, to feel responsible for his welfare, to feel that we are, as religious people might put it.
By the way, this is why you hear the staunch capitalists. This is where they get this from. The welfare is making the world a worse place. Like, things like that. That's where that comes from.
What?
Like altruism, self-sacrifice. You're giving away your wealth to help these people? Like that's against your interest. Or something like that. That's what I meant by people bastardizing the ideas, taking them and then running
It's
away.
an okay idea at first.
Yeah.
It's especially if you're already suicidal.
Yeah. Yeah, even that would be self-serving. Right? If you're suicidal, you're like, I want to die, so you're just serving your own
If
interests.
I die, she'll get the money. Nothing I can do for her right now.
But the whole capitalistic idea, which I think she's a proponent of, yeah, the sacrificing of your wealth for another person.
We wouldn't have to do that if everybody had somewhat of a living wage, which is extremely possible. And to start, no one was corrupt, or at least in the higher tiers. Carrie?
I don't know. Or scary. Or crazy. Or let's continue.
Children under God are responsible one for the other. Now, why do you rebel? What's wrong with this philosophy?
But that is what, in fact, makes man a sacrificial animal. That man must work for others, concern himself with others, or be responsible for them. That is the role of a sacrificial object. I say that man is entitled to his own happiness, and that he must achieve it himself, but that he cannot demand that others give up their lives to make him happy. And nor should he wish to sacrifice himself for the happiness of others. I hold that man should have self-esteem.
And cannot man have...
That is like... This is why I call it incomplete, because it sounds like it's strictly black and white with this.
If I knew what she meant, the Jim Carrey Illuminati triangle. The all-seeing tongue.
Bad.
No pyramid. Every time you show up, I shall make...
Yes. Maybe you should wait for
It
it.
wouldn't be incomplete if I knew what she meant. And maybe that she's already assuming that, oh, they know what I mean by happiness.
Oh, let's see.
Because everyone should... That was poor. Everyone should pursue their bliss, you know. Whatever it is that makes them... I love this. I'm happy. Oh. Everyone should pursue their own bliss.
Let's continue.
Self-esteem if he loves his fellow man. What's wrong with loving your fellow man? Twice every important moral leader in man's history has taught us
Pause. Alright, go ahead.
that we should love one another. Why then is this kind of love in your mind immoral?
It is immoral if it is a love placed above oneself. It is more than immoral, it's impossible. Because when you are asked to love everybody indiscriminately, that is, to love people without any standard, to love them regardless of the fact of whether they have any value or virtue, you are asked to love nobody.
But it is
Even you.
And this is where
Y'all kind.
you can sort of see it like, we're like, okay, and then it's just like, it starts veering off to where my ideas will separate from hers. You can't love indiscriminately. It's like, no, you can. You just have to-
Indiscriminately, meaning.
You have to find, like, just anyone.
Even the people with other pigments?
Yes.
Oh, never thought of such a thing. Is that possible? You're not going to take my job, are you?
And she's saying it's immoral to love another person unless they have like virtue or something like that.
That's not true.
Yeah, that is completely false.
Yeah.
And in fact might be, I wouldn't say it's immoral, I'd say it's incomplete. And then you're doing yourself, the injustice in that scenario.
I mean, I would understand if someone said it was. I mean, now I'm not going to harp on it or anything, but not yet. But if someone says it's somewhat immoral to say, "I love everybody," if you don't love yourself, you know.
But then you're not talking. Well, all right.
Because then, like that itself is basically incomplete.
Right. If she's talking about you just say the words "I love everybody."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you're missing. Then they're not even talking about love in the first place.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. It's like a politician says, like, I love our people, but I don't love them. And he bombs them. It's like, well, you don't know what love is then, do you?
Yeah.
Pyramid 7. The guy to James's right, I mean his left, my fault, is a complete asshole. Well, you're kind of right. Hashtag pizza box. You do, it's cool. Her philosophy is deep. I guess it depends on who's opening the box, I would say. You know, I mean, again, like what he said, like if we pay attention more. I'm not saying you don't, but if we look at more, like if we give her like an hour rather than 20 minutes, so like, what do you mean by this idea you have? You know.
I don't think she ever goes into that.
That's what I mean, though. I mean,
I think it's
as it unravels itself, it's like, oh, it's not that your philosophy isn't as deep as maybe some people think it is. You know.
I think it's
or as complete.
I think it's something simple that can be applied to a bunch of different areas.
I'm sure.
And that's what makes it complex, not the idea itself. It's just that it can apply to politics or romance or whatever the fuck.
Well, if you look at
all these different areas,
if you look at these certain like suggestions as incomplete, then they might halt there. You know, they might stop. That's as far as they go. You know, it's like they can only, like let's say it can only go 1 story deep into the ground. You know, not like fucking a mile deep. You know.
Yeah.
Pause.
And in your book, you talk about love as if it were a business deal of some kind. Is this the essence of love, that it is above self-interest?
Well, let me make it concrete for you. What would it mean to have love above self-interest? It would be encouraging that a husband could tell his wife he will love, according to the conventional morality, that I am marrying you just for your own sake. I have no personal interest in it, but I am so unselfish that I am marrying you only for your own good.
Well, should husbands and wives
Maybe not like that.
Should husbands and wives tally up at the end of the day and say, well, now wait a minute, I love her if she's done enough for me today, or she loves me if I have properly performed my functions?
No, you misunderstood me. That is not how love should be treated. I agree with you that it should be treated like a business deal, but every business has to have its own terms and its own kind of currency. And in love, the currency is virtue. You love people, not for what you do for them or what they do for you. You love them for the values, the virtues which they have achieved in their own character. You don't love poses. You don't love everybody indiscriminately. You love only those who deserve it.
Donnie Tazarian piggybacks off this.
It's one thing to piggyback, then it's one thing to apply something and then expand upon the idea. So I don't know if it's piggybacking. This sounds very familiar from one of the excerpts I heard.
Yeah, Tazarian,
like you
Molyneux.
don't love everybody. Not everybody deserves it, you know? But at the same time, it's like, what do you mean? Immediate trust and love versus, I know you can get better. I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
You may be the not Hitler himself, because it's one thing to believe like what the personification and the idea of Hitler, you know, which is basically like Lex Luthor times 20, you know. It's that idea, and the idea that that person can be helped, you know.
Yeah. Its ideas, effects are far-reaching. Yes, they are. That's why they're still around today and used by someone that may or may not manipulate these ideas for their own purposes.
Again, though, it's like, no, not everybody deserves your love.
Or say them like they're original to them.
Saying someone like, not everyone deserves your love or trust. It's like, well, they can get help.
Well, what happens is it sounds, like I said, her ideas sound incomplete, as in she doesn't fully understand herself. Like, who am I? What am I?
Possibly.
Then you can recognize it in the rest of the world, and that's where the love comes from.
So when the first time I heard Terry talk about that subject, I was like, oh, is this something I might disagree with? And then as he somewhat expanded upon the idea, I was like, okay, I get what you mean. Maybe I might have used different words to describe it, but I understand.
Yeah. Keep going. Play.
Hey man, it's your world.
Then if a man is weak or a woman is weak, then he is beyond love.
He certainly does not deserve it. He certainly is young. He cannot correct. Man has free will.
Wait, keep going.
Man is weak or a woman is weak, then he is beyond love.
He certainly does not deserve it. He certainly is young. He cannot correct. Man has free will. If a man wants love, he should correct his weaknesses or his flaws, and he may deserve it, but he cannot expect the unearned, neither in love nor in money, but neither in matter nor spirit.
You have lived in our world and you recognize the fallibility of human beings. There are very few of us then in this world, by your standards, who are worthy of love.
Unfortunately, it's very few. But it is open to everybody to make themselves worthy of it, and that is all man.
Go back.
Yeah, you said something. I didn't hear.
He said something? Or
You said something.
I said savage.
Oh. What?
But he cannot expect the unearned, neither in love nor in money, but neither in matter nor spirit.
You have lived in our world and you recognize the fallibility of human beings. There are very few of us then in this world, by your standards, who are worthy of love.
Unfortunately, it's very few. But it is open to everybody to make themselves worthy of it, and that is all that my morality offers them.
If they
Everybody should make themselves worthy of love, although that's not the primary motive.
See, it's one of those ideas that are so simple, it's complex, because she can mean a bunch of different things.
Oh yeah.
As in, do you mean, well, you can't love...
If I were to have like a true idea of what she means by love, I'd have to fucking, say to it, hey, what did you mean by that? 20 minutes later, I got an idea.
I was going to go somewhere completely different.
Oh.
As in, it seems like she could be saying, if you don't love yourself, then how could someone love you in that sense?
Well, then there's a sense of deserving.
You won't even register if someone's loving you if you don't even love yourself.
Well, then it's like, dude, like the idea of deserving it. Are you worthy of someone else's love? Like at this right now? Do you think so? You're the tyrant. You have no mirrors in your house. Your house is big, but inside it's empty. There's nothing in it. It's just you. And you alternate corners every night,
These words they're going to trample each other because she brings up, in matter or in spirit? Like, okay, you're bringing up spirit now. It's like, so are you saying these people don't have a spark of whatever until they follow these virtues that you agree with? Then it's like, okay. It's like, so you can love them if there's a spirit thing floating around.
It's one thing if to say it's deserving. It's another to say it's there, but you need to learn. You need to remember again how. Because never, in my opinion, it should never be you don't deserve love. No. It's like, oh, it's there, just wait.
Well, if
it gets better.
If you're implying spirit, then you're implying that there's something there, which means you could be loving them, just like understanding that this isn't the best version of them.
Well, that's it.
She's not saying that. She's saying you don't deserve love.
No, that's wrong. again, maybe she means something else because love, truth, and goodness are all absolutes. So if we come to the conclusion that they are this, does everybody deserve that?
Mm.
Underlying, yes. It's not like they're an invisible demonic force, you know. That's nothing. Basically a big thing of nothing.
Yeah.
I love. That's not a thing, man. Trust me. That's not anybody or anything. It's just empty coming at you. That does not deserve love, you know.
I do want to throw this in. I do like Ayn Rand. I like her. I think she has honest intentions to make the world a better place. My problem is her brain children that are focused on the ideology rather than the actual fix the world part. They're willing to just hug the ideology and stay close to that rather than, here's a practical answer for this. You can help the world with this over here.
Well, once again, it's extremely contradictory.
No, I need my ideology to do it. Like that shit.
Well, it's extremely contradicting to the idea of saving the world. If not, just, I want to help people, you know. And that's, we're taking the first step towards the red door, I see, yes. So, instead, right, it's have you been pushed into the giant swirling pool? Oh, when you get out, there's that pole right there, right? Nice and stable to the ground. The only thing that may, you know, as far as the mile stretch may seem stable in the ground, you grab onto it. Okay, I have this thing, it's right here. It's like, let me stick with this. It's like, nah, man, that thing is there to go.
Well, there's that, and then there's pride, right? As in, this has to be the method to do it. This ideology I have that I'm sticking close to, it has to be the way.
It's there for
I spend so much time on it. I spend so much time caring about this and learning this that this has to be the way. If it ain't the way, I have to separate from that. Call it bullshit, call it woo-woo, call it whatever the fuck I can call it. But this thing has to be the answer.
What people don't hear. This way I can describe it is the way I describe most things is if people just look up to that pole they're grabbing onto, you know, they look up and there's an arrow pointing in a certain direction.
Yeah.
It's like that way. On the arrow it says this way to town, you know, that way. Of course, you don't see the path open up until you look up. So.
Well, that takes a lot of work. Or no
well.
work. So once you build up
How would you know it's a sign unless you look at it?
Once you build up an ideology that's, you know, over-bloated the ego with ideas,
Well, think of it like this.
that's stuck at the ego level only.
Well, think of it like this. And then, the sign, I would call it a sign. It's like a sign post.
Yeah.
A sign post, right? You don't see the sign itself, right? You just see the pole, and it goes up through the clouds. It's like, it's my idea. My ideology is right here. I'm like, Then you can't see the sign. It's in the clouds. You got to climb it now. So they climb until they're above the clouds, and they see, that way, this way to town. You can climb down and go forth, you know, instead of being stationary.
I'll work with that metaphor. Somewhat. Sometimes they need to be stationary. It's the running to next content, the next one.
I said the only way you could look at it.
I get it's a metaphor. So I said okay, but just so no one's confused.
It's supposed to be confusing, and it isn't. Let's play.
Let's move
Is that fun? No.
philosophy translated
That's what I mean, guys.
into the world of
What do
politics.
you mean?
Now, one of the principal achievements of this country in the past 20 years particularly, I think most people agree, is the gradual growth of social protective legislation based on the principle that we are our brother's keepers. How do you feel about the political trends of the United States?
The way everybody feels except more consciously. I feel it is terrible, that we see destruction all around you, and that you are moving toward disaster until and unless all those welfare state conceptions have been reversed and rejected.
So, once again, a further degree of separation here.
I thought we were gonna dive deep into the whole society.
Well, I think her ideas work with existentialism, as in like okay, here's a little idea or a little technique or whatever, something to look at. But once she ventures out from there, it's like, oh, they're not worthy of the love. Like now you're talking on just a social level, and you're taking that principle with you. So now it's when I hear an interview, I believe it was her on Donahue, talking about, oh well, we have a right to their oil. We gave them the machines to pull the oil up from the ground. So,
excuse me?
She's talking about Saudi Arabia, I believe, and they wanted to was it Saudi Arabia? Some country wanted to nationalize their oil, meaning that our oil, our natural resource that's from our land, is going to subsidize the rest of our country. As in, we're going to use the money from the oil, and we're going to have schools that are free because the oil pays for it. We're going to have monthly paychecks because the oil pays for it. It's your guys' money.
It's not like there's a double standard here or anything like that. It's like, it's free. Watch those fools come in those doors. They come.
So yeah, she's saying, well, we have a right to the oil.
That's wrong.
They would have never dug it out of the ground without us.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
No.
She's taking the principles that you could use in a philosophical, existential sense, and she's applying it to global politics.
It's a scary sense of political entitlement.
Well, it could lead to, if people took her ideas and ran with it, which I think some people have, you could just become easily apathetic to killing people.
Sure.
It's like, well, they're not virtuous. They don't deserve the love.
They're not virtuous. They don't deserve our love, and we deserve their oil. We're doing the right thing. Bomb. Boom.
So like, if I could talk to her, I'd be like, Ein, you have to consider that maybe people might not understand virtue, or they might create their own version of it, which becomes a relative version, as in we're the good guys and whatever their social laws or rules are.
Whenever there's an incomplete version such as that understanding, then there's room for. It's like this.
There's room for Stefan Molyneux, brother.
That's how I meant.
Little Muhammad.
It's like that. No, little.
They're just dumber than us,
brother. It's like we live above. This isn't a sense of like above and you're below. It's just one person lives above, one person below. If certain things in the ground above aren't sealed correctly, and we pour water can come through, there's cracks in the ground. When we leave room for cracks in the ground, we pour water, it goes through, and it drips. When there's room for corruption, then it's like, see, what's her name?
Ayn Rand.
Yeah, like, I need you to take a seat. I got this. Sorry.
Yeah.
Precisely these trends which are bringing the world to disaster. Because we are now moving toward complete collectivism or socialism. A system under which everybody is enslaved to everybody. And we are moving that way only because of our altruist morality.
Not if they choose it, right? If they choose to say, I'm willingly giving my money to this so we could do this as a collective. I don't see any problem with that. The only problem is you have to keep corruption out of it, so that
that's with anything.
So that whatever 3/4 of your tax money doesn't go to the next military tank, right? You're like, I want roads, I want free healthcare, I want this, I want that. It's healthy things we're asking for. I don't feel like going to a meeting, say, okay, everybody, take out $100. We're all gonna throw $100 into this pot, and we're all gonna get roads. I'd rather just have it allocated there. I'm just gonna throw these funds over here for roads and schools and whatever.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Unless you're.
But it would collide with her principle, the principle she's hanging on to, which is the altruistic moves. It must be
Look, I understand
self-beneficial.
if one person is subject to a certain system for most of their lives and there's corruption there, obviously, but they think that system itself is corruption, then we don't have an idea of what actual corruption is. You know, it's itself.
She'll say it with capitalism, right? She's a proponent of capitalism.
Hold on. It's like when Cesarian said, like socialism, and then he grew up in Ireland, I'd say, right? Straight up.
I believe so.
Well, it's like someone who's subject to like the worst communism, right? But with corruption, socialism. Any
Was that where he's from?
Just wait.
I thought he just said his dad was Marxist. So I grew up in a Marxist household.
Possibly.
With my father.
Yeah.
I don't think he says this society was.
No, what I meant was
Marxist.
if someone is subject to anything like that with corruption, it's even capitalism, right? Because some people say, "Oh, capitalism is the greatest." Like, no, because any system with corruption, any system itself is neutral. With corruption, it becomes something else. It's not neutral anymore, you know.
She's going to explain that with capitalism.
Well, if she holds it as a white light of hope, you know, for ships to come abroad into the harbor, then no, you're wrong. Because there's corruption here.
Yeah.
But you say everybody is enslaved to everybody. Yet this came about democratically. Free people, free countries.
This dude, like, you know, subtle with that necklace. He's like, I can wear this on TV right now. The government said I could.
And he's smoking while he's doing this interview.
He should go. I don't know. What's her name again? Ayn Rand? I don't know, Ayn Rand. I have bone grease in my hair.
Government wanted this kind of legislation. Do you object to the democratic process?
I object to the idea that people have the right to vote on everything. The traditional American system was a system based on the idea that majority will prevail only in public or political affairs, and that it was limited by inalienable individual rights. Therefore, I do not believe that the majority can vote a man's life or property or freedom away from him.
And once again, this is a lot of the things that the Canadians complain about.
Sorry.
The Stephen Molyneux's, Lawrence Southerns. They argue that, oh, well, these lesser intelligent people will come over here and they'll start getting the right to vote, and then they'll vote to nuke ourselves. They're literally going to go in and vote. Let's nuke ourselves.
I am 100% against majority rules.
Me too.
It's ridiculous.
But I think she is too. Now, I think the Molyneux of the world bastardize it and say, well, we can't do that because there's dumb people over here.
I would agree with that on paper.
Meaning that only certain people should have a say.
I think everyone is educated. And I mean that in a very specific way. If everyone's educated, I think you know what I mean, then you can have a say.
What if you're not? Say, no, you can't participate. You have no right to anything here. What the smart people...
No, they have a right. The question is, you know, like, should you at this moment, right now?
Oh, you're deciding whether they get the vote or not, right? By saying,
well, again, I would...
You fit into this class.
At this moment, just kind of think about this right now. It wouldn't be like, you're not allowed to talk with us. Because I would be a hypocrite because of Sam Harris, you know.
Yeah.
Because of what he said. It should basically be something to the degree of like a big open discussion, you know, as far as, hey, you want to vote? Okay. Well, what do you think? Tell me. You sure about that? Is that the right thing to do? I don't think we should do that, man. If we come to an agreement of what the right thing, what the idea is, the absolute pinnacle of good.
Now that's different.
That's what you have
I'm
to
talking
do.
about straight up intelligence. As in, you got this on your SATs, you're worthy of voting.
Oh, no, that's what you're talking about. That's ridiculous.
I think that's the
My moral intelligence could be astronomical, or whatever the fuck, you know.
But that's not. I don't think that's small news and these other guys' arguments. Their argument is that intelligence is intelligence.
Well, that's why
your morality is based on your intelligence.
That's why they need to take a goddamn seat and let me fucking handle it. They can have a say, but they don't know. I do.
So, yeah. See, the thing... So, I do think everyone has a moral understanding of a lot of even in-depth fucking ideas. The problem is these ideas are not presented as moral things, like directly. Mm-hmm. As in, this is such an obvious... The obvious answer of this moral situation. It's so obvious, it's right there. What politicians do is they throw a scattered version of morality or moral issues all together, so that one side ends up opposing another. Right? It's like free healthcare. Everyone's like, morally, like, duh, right? Everyone should be taken care of. But then, let's say a Republican or whatever is like, well, what about the waiting lines at the hospitals? You're going to be lowering down someone who worked hard. You know, they worked hard, they started a business, they earned money, and they should have a say to healthcare. They should be like first in line or whatever. They earn their healthcare.
Well, there's universal,
as opposed to, well, you didn't earn your health.
Well, here, hold on.
That's they turn into moral things.
Okay, but then the moral thing to do is to help everybody. Everybody deserves help. That's why the idea of a living wage. Listen, dude, if your thing in life is to just basically go outside and enjoy the common idea of nature, you know, like everything on the surface, just bathe in it, that's fine. I mean, you should be able to fucking do that. But in society, like, well, how's he going to pay for things? Well, he can have a living wage. You know,
yeah.
As simple as that. But then, everyone has a say in that, right? That's help. That's me helping you with good intentions, absolutely good intentions, because I know what they are. But then let's say there's an issue, something happened, something went wrong, you know. Let's say it's basically a society that has everything grounded. It's another thing, you know, another group of people that might be opposing that. Like, what should we do? You know, there's some ignorant people, which there probably would be, and there might always maybe.
Yeah.
Then the idea is to, all right, I'm going to handle this. I got this. I know what to do. You guys need to show me that you know what the right thing to do is before you guys, that's what I would say.
This is why
it's complicated.
We're in the scenarios we are. It's because there is no obvious answer, obvious way to do things.
Well, here's the thing. I know what I'm going to do, but I don't know what's going to happen until it takes place, you know.
Well, you don't know what other people would do either.
That's what happens. What will happen?
You don't know if someone's just adopting the ideas, memorizing them, repeating them out, and not having having the intentions that someone else might have.
I trust my intuition to smell that out. Everybody has it.
Alright.
Everybody has it.
I was going to say something.
How are you going to bend the knee? No freaky to me? No, you're already doing it. It's okay. What? It's okay. It's okay. Shake your head, yeah. Throw out your neck. Yeah.
Pride cometh.
Don't describe yourself on air. Okay, now. Play.
No, I had an idea. Let's see. Something to do with the convoluted mixture of ideas and all that shit for how do politicians use that. Whatever. Come on.
Well, hold on. No, it's masking the true idea of goodness.
Maybe. It could just be, I have a moral issue here, and they're not looking at each other's moral issues.
I think it branches off to that.
Reading it as gray areas.
I think it branches off to that, and then it becomes extremely like, you know, an empty, self-serving type of thing.
Therefore, I do not believe that if the majority votes on any issue, that this makes the issue right. It doesn't.
All right, then how do we arrive at action? How should we arrive at action?
By voluntary consent, voluntary cooperation of free men, unforced.
And how do our leaders arrive? How do we arrive at our leadership? Who elects? Who appoints?
The whole people elects. There's nothing wrong with the democratic process in politics. We arrive at it the way we arrived by the American Constitution as it used to be. By the constitutional process, as we had it, people elect officials, but the powers of those officials, the powers of government are strictly limited. They will have no right to initiate force or compulsion against any citizen, except a criminal. Those who have initiated force will be punished by force, and that is the only proper function of government.
I thought I remembered my idea
You thought you remembered your idea?
for a second. About,
Maybe it's the donut, man. Maybe that's what happened.
What we would not permit is the government to initiate force against people who have hurt no one, who have not forced anyone. We will not give the government or the majority or any minority the right to take the life or the property of others. That was the original American system.
When you say take the property of others, I imagine that you're talking now about tax.
Sam,
And you believe that there should be no right by the government to tax. You believe that there should be no such thing as welfare legislation, unemployment compensation, regulations during times of stress, certain kinds of rent controls, things like that.
that's right. I'm opposed to all forms of control. I am for an absolute, laissez-faire, free, unregulated economy. Let me put it briefly. I am for the separation of state and economics, just as we had separation of state and church, which led to peaceful coexistence among different religions after a period of religious wars. So the same applies to economics.
that sounds more like just people adjusting to it. Oh, we adjusted to the way things are now.
If it's peaceful.
See, it's peaceful.
Peaceful itself is what? Not necessarily, oh, we're okay with it. Not true peace.
Tolerance as opposed to...
Yeah, that's why I don't like the whole tolerance thing. There's be tolerant. Well, that means you're dealing with it, okay? That means you might have a problem with it, man. What's wrong with you? It's like I'm tolerating your behavior right now, and oh, so you don't like it. You're just coping with it. What? You know, not. Hey man, do what you gotta do, man. It's all good. As long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
These might be baby steps.
The initial existential ideas are cool to me.
You had your time.
Then they brought it out to... Then she started spreading it into economics, politics, and things like that. And the ideas start looking a little more shaky.
Well, even the thing, even like it's ironic because around this time, right?
Yeah.
It's like when we look into certain events that are happening around the world and how the United States is related to them. It's like, oh, you guys are now spreading your wings, huh? It's like Panama, Ecuador. It's around this time. Maybe not in that order, but you know, it's like we're gonna help them. They need freedom. They need some freedom.
If you separate the government from economics, if you do not regulate production and trade, you will have peaceful cooperation and harmony and justice among men.
You are certainly enough political scientist to know that certain movements spring up in relation to other movements.
Don't be jealous.
The labor movement, for
She's
instance,
got no sunshine.
certain social welfare legislation, which did not spring full blown from somebody's head. I mean, out of a vacuum.
This guy just fucking smoking. Well, what is it called? This guy got Newports out the ass. He's like, in your face. He just doesn't.
That's why she's in the chair like this.
No, she's tilted back. Like, if I tilt my shoulders this way, I won't have to breathe that poison.
Actually sprang up from the same source as the abuses. If by abuses you mean the legislation which originally had been established to help industries, which was already a breach of complete free enterprise. Even then, in reaction, labor leaders get together to initiate legislation to help labor. That is only acting on the same principle, namely, all parties agree that it is proper for the state to legislate in favor of one economic group or another. But what I'm saying is that nobody should have the right, neither employers nor employees, to use state compulsion and force.
But when you advocate completely unregulated economic life in which every man works for his own profit, you are asking, in a sense, for a duck take the hindmost, dog-eat-dog society, and one of the main reasons for the growth of government controls was to fight the robber barons, to fight laissez-faire, in which the very people whom you admire the most, the hard-headed industrialists, the successful men, pervert the use of their power. Is that not true?
No, it isn't. This country was made not by robber barons, but by independent men, by industrialists who succeeded on sheer ability.
And
And slave owners. If that's not a form of corruption, I don't know.
See, that's the thing. She's not addressing corrupt. Even if, let's say, I'm just saying the robber barons or whatever, the big-time industrialists, if they're getting help from the governments are the ones that are deregulating things for them or whatever, or helping it like the bailout and shit like that.
So you're saying she doesn't know the idea of corruption?
What I'm saying is, wouldn't those guys still be corrupt in nature?
They might be.
Or at the very least, just neutral people, which means that it's not virtue, which means they shouldn't be there by her standards and shouldn't be loved or cared about.
Probably not.
But the counter argument to that, heavy echo.
Ray's dad.
How should I do this?
Fuck, Ray's dad's gonna know I have a doobie.
Fuck.
Me and Ray want to know what you're gonna do about it. Are you gonna tell me to deal with it? Deal with it, Ray. Ray's dad.
You're gonna sit by and watch as I do all the other work. Crack jokes. And speak in metaphor. Freak.
I'm sorry, that's all we see that's going on. Well, not we. More singular, which is... So that's all we see. Then looks like we need some help. Just taking that oxygen, man.
The student trying to surpass the teacher.
You're not my teacher. I'm my teacher.
Yeah, I taught you that.
No, you didn't.
Maybe lower the volume on that.
I've come to the conclusion.
It's okay. Alright, calm down. You're alright.
No, I'm not.
You're safe here.
No, I'm not safe, actually.
You're fine. You know what?
Don't tell lies. You're safe. You're safe.
Screw it for now. Maybe I'll upload this. Fix the echo. It might just be reverb. Who knows? Alright, let's try.
I mean without political force, help, or compulsion. But at the same time, there were men, industrialists, who did use government power as a club to help them against competitors. They were the original collectivists. Today, the liberals believe that that same compulsion should be used against the industrialists for the sake of workers. But the basic principle there is, should there be any compulsion? And the regulations are creating robber barons. They are creating capitalists with government help, which is the worst of all economic phenomena.
I think that...
like I said, if you have neutral people, but then only neutral people can be shaped by this, whatever, the system or the situation. Only the conditioned for whatever reason. Correct? Right? It's not zeitgeist. Well, they commit crime because they're poor. Like, now they commit crime because they're conditioned. And then their conditioning allows them to act a certain way because they have this excuse of being poor.
It's ignorance.
Yeah.
And you're being affected by someone else's corruption. Yeah. And when you have that, it's just a cycle. So that means if I give you a utopia where, look, the system's perfect. You have all the resources you need. Everything's applied, you know. I put today's society right now in that. We'll see how fast that shit fucking falls down. Like that. You'll see. That's why people don't understand.
It might even depend on who you ask in that scenario.
Right now we have corrupt leaders, corrupt people, ignorant people, as well as ignorant people in a system which they think, I'm gonna try to fix this. So you even know what's wrong, so how can you fix it? And I give them that idea of utopia, just that setting, you know, the cities where it's clean, there's nothing wrong here as far as on the outside. It's the inner workings that's the issue. And when there's still problems there, there'll be stains on the white t-shirt before you know it. That's just how it is, guys. It's nothing we can do about it, you know.
Unless, once again, the loudmouths who
that's what I mean.
Gather up all the wealth and then write history, right? They're the ones who write the history of things.
That's what I meant.
It was a shining moment.
I said today.
When the founding fathers stood in front of the Constitution and wrote their names.
Today.
Yeah.
It'd be somewhat of a religious experience because all of a sudden, like, it'd be like Christmas when they all wake up at the same time. All of a sudden the cities are clean. Everything, you know, everything. Look, guys, there's a fund. Everybody has a living wage now. Yes. Oh. It's like, watch how fast they fuck it up because they don't know themselves. Watch.
Well, you'd even have to go further than living wage.
No, you get what I mean. I'm trying to save time here.
You mean like a universal paycheck for everyone? It's like, listen, we make enough money to give...
I'm not trying to go too much into it. I'm just saying people's
zeitgeist
idea of a utopia. I'm like, watch how fast that shit's going to fucking fall.
Oh,
by fall, I mean, watch. You're wrong here. Just watch. Watch what happens.
Oh, you have dudes that...
It's like a living simulation of a point I'm trying to prove here. It's already been proven.
Well, there's just dudes that get in cars and drive over people because they don't get laid enough. Right? Unless you're going to...
As far as I know.
Unless Zeitgeist is going to come up with sexual partners for them. Right? That would be the solution. It's not the real one, but it'd be the political, some loudmouth. That would be their answer. Or just be a man. There you go. All right.
You will agree with me when I say that you do not have a good deal of respect for the society in which you and I currently live. You think that we're going downhill fairly fast. Now, I would like you to think about this question, and you'll have a minute intermission to ponder it, and then come back and answer.
Fucking Newport.
Do you predict dictatorship and economic disaster for the United States if we continue on our present course. Do you? And we'll get Ayn Rand's answer in just a moment. And now back to our story. All right, Ayn Rand, what I'd like to know is this.
I guarantee that commercial was. Welcome, welcome. Newports for kids. The infomercial of the year. Your doctor recommends it. Your doctor recommends your kids smoke daily Newports 8 times a day for your youngins. Hey, to me. Gosh, mister, are those Newports? You bet your bottom dollar they are.
Ayn Rand looked like William F. Buckley. She's 10,000 times better than Buckley. Buckley seems like a snobby asshole.
She's just sitting like
but what about the law?
She just sits like a goon.
Yeah, I think she actually believes what she's saying. I think she's honestly saying her ideas. Buckley, I think, is a provocateur. One of the loudmouths I talk about.
Good.
Since you describe it as happening in your novel Atlas Shrugged, do you actually predict dictatorship and economic disaster for the United States?
If the present collectivist trend continues, if the present
I left it up for you.
anti-reason philosophy continues, yes,
That means you have dick.
that is the way the country is going.
Oh,
but
I had no
I
idea
do
that's
not
what
believe in
you
historical determinism, and I do not believe that people have to
I
go
heard
that
what he
way.
said.
Men have
I didn't know
the
you
free
implied-
will
you
to
would,
choose and to think.
You implied a sexual
If they-
reference. You're alone.
No, I'm completely comfortable.
Nah, bro, you're alone. At least here.
Dictatorship and economic disaster for the United States.
If the present collectivist trend continues, if the present anti-reason philosophy continues, yes, that is the way the country is going. But I do not believe in historical determinism, and I do not believe that people have to go that way. Men have the free will to choose and to think. If they change their thinking, we do not have to go into dictatorship.
Yes, but how can you expect to reverse this trend when, as we've said, the country is run by majority rule through ballot, and that majority seems to prefer to vote for this modified welfare state?
See, I think she's reading dictatorship and freedom and all these things on a heavily sensitive level, which is where it makes sense at the existential level. Right? It's when she expands it to people should act this way, or the social structure should be this way, economics, policies, politics, all that stuff should be this way. That's when it's like, all right. This is why the answers sound incomplete. They're also incomplete if you judge them just on a personal, existential level. Of you need to love yourself first before you could do this. Why do people love each other? Because they have similar virtues or principles or whatever. Like, don't lower yourself by sacrificing yourself to help someone else. You need to keep each other on the same level. If you're looking at it as I care about myself as much as I care about this other person, it's not really sacrifice. If I sacrifice $1 million for some other person, it's not really sacrifice. It's my pleasure to do so. These work on these minor existential levels.
I agree. But I'm only going to completely agree if Joe says it's true.
Yes. Now, do you mean fuck Ayn Rand, or do you mean fucking Ayn Rand?
You're alone here.
It's his words.
Are they?
I mean, it's Joe's words.
Hey.
And Joe speaks true. He has a sword named Oathkeeper.
Truly sus.
He has a sword named Oathkeeper, like Brienne of Tarth.
Oh man, she's soft.
She's a savage.
Soft.
Savage.
Soft like a pillowcase. Like some feathers in a bag.
All right, continuing.
Oh, I don't believe that. You know as well as I do that the majority today has no choice.
What do you
The
mean?
majority has never been offered a choice between controls and freedom.
How do you account for the fact that an almost overwhelming majority of the people who are regarded as our leading intellectuals and our leading industrialists, the men whom you seem to admire the most, the men with the muscle and the money, favor the modified capitalism that we have today?
Because it is an intellectual issue. Since they all believe in collectivism, they do favor it. But the majority of the people has never been given a choice. You know that both parties today are for socialism, in effect, for controls, and there is no party. There are no voices to offer an actual pro-capitalist, let's say fair, economic freedom and individualism.
See, the people that are socialists might not view it as socialism, right? Once you eliminate corruption, right, these social systems end up becoming like very similar, or almost the same thing.
Like I said, you know,
right?
So many people are like team playing here. It's like, look, I'm not one for, you know, all for one here. You know, it's just more of like a. It's like, well, we take these ideas from capitalism, we take ideas from socialism, like spirit of the rule. You're gonna end up one way or another, in my opinion, just like a mesh of everything. Because what do? It's helping.
If you're voluntarily going with a socialist system, it's essentially capitalism. It's just like I make my own money, but I give some away to charity.
Again, so like this, right? The living wage
Same thing.
The living wage thing.
Yeah.
That's essentially like, oh, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that from? Yeah.
Yeah. It's either.
Where does that come from? Where does free healthcare come from? Oh, but it doesn't matter where it comes from. It's a good thing, right? Sure it is. Who's going to build the roads? People who want the road to be built. They're going to do it, you know?
Well, me personally, I just look at it like, I'd rather skip the whole... I wouldn't skip the whole process.
You might. I don't know. Are you the man for the job? Maybe not.
Well, let's say we just do one giant process of it. Right? We debate it out, and then it's, okay, we're agreeing to volunteer our money, some of our money, for free healthcare. As opposed to the capitalist version is, we're all gathering to volunteer our money for free, for these particular people that have free healthcare.
They didn't work for that money, though. Gotta earn it. You gotta be a punk.
So it's like...
The working man is a sucker.
Granted, I don't think she's going that route. I think she views capitalism as you... Right? If it's completely unregulated capitalism... supply and demand, the more virtuous or whatever business is going to get the most business. That will circulate through the economy, create jobs for other people, and then they'll be able to just pay for their healthcare on their own. I'm like, okay.
At the same time,
what
right?
makes it virtuous? Like, oh, it's the freedom of it. It's you're choosing.
Mm-hmm.
It's people choosing what they do with whatever. I'm like, well, what if they collectively choose to say, okay, no matter what, your health care is taken care of?
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like, oh, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. Why? Because it's... I don't know how to put it into words, but I love it. Cool. Right now, we're going to say you're the guy for the job, man. Not... I want to make the most money and then retire and then become a politician. Maybe you can go do something else.
That's sort of the argument against capitalism. No millionaires were charitable to Ayn Rand when she retired on Social Security and nothing else. Yeah, basically. But her argument's going to run back to, well, it's because we have regulations in a certain way and government taking money. That's why I don't have this. And that'll always be the fallback argument. And also for the other side, somebody arguing for socialism or something. It's like, well, we can never do this because we have these fat cat bankers doing that.
Fat cat.
It'll always just be like that, which is why I say, why are we talking about systems here, right? What's the core, what's the essence of what we're getting at, right? What's a good idea versus a bad idea? Let's look at that very simply. Children can figure it out from there.
It's too simple.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's part of it too. I think everyone's like looking for their heaven, but they don't want to be shown how to get there. So what they do is they dive into these complex. The fuck was that?
That's a cat.
Really?
Yeah.
First of all, it was a person like holding a garden hose or something.
No, I would have went up there.
Yeah. All right, so it could be, like I was saying, people looking for their own heaven. You don't want to be just told how to, like, this is your heaven. They want to find it themselves. And one way to sort of get there without...
the way it should be.
Yes, but one way to get there without getting there, without letting anyone tell you how to do it, is to dive into these complex ideas.
At the same time, some people believe that, like, don't give me those tools. No, don't give me the map. Like, it's just a map. I can't read it. It's for your eyes only. No, I don't want to. It's like, dude, don't be silly. Come on.
Yeah, well, nature provides it.
And what am I? Or what are they?
Exactly.
So.
But it's still read as nature itself.
Everybody sees that.
No, the actual thing is nature itself.
I'm saying everybody sees that.
Yeah.
It's like, you're out here in front of me. I can see you.
Sorry, I'm talking woo-woo.
That is what this country needs today.
Isn't it possible that we all believe in it because we are all basically lonely people and we all understand that we are basically our brother's keepers?
You couldn't say that you really understand it because there is no way in which you could justify it. Nobody has ever given a reason why men should be their brother's keepers, and you've had every example, and you see the examples around you of men perishing by the attempt to be their brother's keepers.
You have no...
And there's people that come up with reasons for that. There's a lot of people that come up. A lot of people come up with moral reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's religious or veil of ignorance argument, or do unto others what you want to be done to you, or just innately, naturally, like, I don't want there to be homeless people because that doesn't sound like an awesome way to live.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want that for them.
faith in anything.
Faith?
Only
No.
in your mind.
That is not faith. That is a conviction. Yes, I have no faith at all. I only hold convictions.
Who are you, Ayn Rand? When I say that, I would like to know just a little bit of your vital statistics. You have an accent which is
Russian.
Russian. You were born in Russia?
Yes.
Came here?
Oh, 30 years ago.
What?
And whence did this philosophy of yours come?
Out of my own mind, with the sole acknowledgement of a debt to Aristotle, who is the only philosopher that ever influenced me. I devised the rest of my philosophy myself.
Like I said, she sounds like a unique individual with a bunch of brain children walking around today. Trying to take her idea that we think doesn't work on a social, political level. They're trying to use it on that level. Like the Stefan Molyneux and
Again, it's
these other people.
what they probably start out with. Like they see this open gash wound. They're trying to use a Band-Aid. It's like, that's not how you do it.
Maybe. They could just be big fans of hers.
There's no room for that.
Either this fantastical idea of capitalism or whatever.
There's no room for fans in this work.
Fair enough.
You can be a fan of sports teams, not... I'm a fan of you. You help people. I'm a fan. It's like, go home.
That's what a good teacher would say. Like, get the fuck out of here. Right.
Your parents, Did they die in Russia, or did they come here to the United States?
No, I came here alone, and I don't know. I have no way of finding out whether they died or not.
You are married?
Yes.
Your husband, is he an industrialist?
No, he's an artist. His name is Frank O'Connor.
And he, not the writer? He
No,
paints.
not the writer.
And does he live from his painting?
He's just beginning to study painting. He
I
was a
see.
designer before.
Is he supported in his efforts by the state?
Most certainly not.
He's supported by you for the time being?
No, by his own work, actually, in the past.
Well, I know.
By me, if necessary, but that isn't quite necessary.
And there is no contradiction here. In that you help him.
No.
It's like, what can I say? He wants my gold. Alright.
But to me, you can almost hear how much she just seems like a just normal person with these ideas. She's clutching onto that idea, but she doesn't seem like some master manipulator type of person that I've heard.
I don't sense that.
Yeah. Or like a bad person that I've heard from other people.
I don't sense it. Like I said, everyone has an intuitive ability to smell that out. They do. I do.
Because you see, I am in love with him selfishly. It is to my own interest to help him if he ever needed it. I would not call that a sacrifice because I take selfish pleasure in it.
And that works with you. Like, is everyone like that? I definitely believe everyone has the capability of it, which is why you love everyone.
How would you describe it, though?
Like what you just said? Well, it's like, oh, I'm willing to help my husband out financially because it's a part of my self-interest, right? Something I care about him or someone I care about, I then give money to. I want to keep this person around or keep this person healthy or whatever. Now, what happens if you have the CEO in the top of the tower? What happens if you have the CEO in the top of the fucking skyscraper?
You going?
And then you take the exact opposite scenario of the homeless dude just chilling on the corner. It's like he has no personal relationship with that person. He doesn't know their virtues or values or anything like that.
Timber. I think maybe she could describe happiness as like, are you being selfish there? Like you get pleasure out of doing something good?
Well, I don't think she understands her whole self, which is why her answers sound incomplete.
Her answers?
Yeah. Like, it's like if you think about it theoretically, that homeless dude on the corner had the potential to be the husband you're standing in front of right now.
Has.
Maybe he works his way up in the system.
He has it. It will
potential.
Never leave.
Thus, you have to have a care for everyone.
Oops.
Care for everyone and everything. Am I my husband's keeper?
Are you?
Only if that nigga don't creep up. Got a pistol under my pillow.
I can't say that.
I've never been a deep sleeper.
I can't.
Paranoid.
I can't say it. I can't say that.
That's not happening for you.
That's a question for you, Ryan's dad.
It's Ray's dad. You fucked up, man.
You fucked up like 8 times today.
Ryan's dad.
Play the fucking video.
Ryan's dad is cool. He'd only slap you around a bit, but Ray's dad, he'll shoot you straight up.
No, you got it wrong. He won't just shoot
He'll
you.
slap you first.
No, he brings you in that basement, not in like a no freaky type of way. And he'll do what that Punisher movie did. He'll hang you upside down. It's like, you ever been burned with this amount of like degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit? It's cold. And he sticks with an ice pop. Ah!
You'll hear Buffalo Bob,
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill music.
Fuck.
Ding ding. Ding ding.
No, it's dun dun. Dun dun.
Goodbye. Alright.
Put the fucking lotion in the fucking basket.
Suppose under your system of self-sufficiency, one single corporation
Puts the lotion.
were to get a stranglehold on a vital product or a raw material, uranium, for instance,
It's based on a real guy.
which might be vital for the national defense, and then would refuse to sell it to the government. Then what?
Under a free system, no one could acquire a monopoly on anything. If you look at economics and economic history, you will discover that all monopolies have been established with government help, with the help of franchises, subsidies, or any kind of government privileges. In free competition, no one could corner the market on a needed product.
And let's say there is a
History
deposit.
will support me.
There is a deposit of uranium in Nevada. It's the only one in the United States, and that's our only access to that. And for self-defense, we need this. Whereas, let's say, in the Soviet Union,
For self-defense, we need
Yeah.
we need nuclear bombs for self-defense.
Hey, Hillary.
Just
I
in
need
case.
this for self-defense. Are you selling that uranium? I need it for self-defense.
the state is able to command that. And a kind of a strange man of strange beliefs got hold of this uranium and said, I will not sell this uranium to my government. He should not be able to be forced by the government, according to your philosophy, to sell that uranium.
But you realize that you are setting up an impossible fantasy. That is, if you're talking of any natural resource,
Now it's an impossible fantasy.
What?
Well, she brought up thought experiments basically because we're not living in that, and she wasn't living in that at the time of pure capitalism, right? That's all hypothetical because it's, as far as I know, has never existed.
Pure capitalism. Huh.
Straight up pure capitalism.
That doesn't mean anything.
So it ends up being a thought experiment. Like, okay, so what if he puts this question to you? Isn't that a thought experiment you should indulge in since you brought yours up?
He should not be able to be forced by the government, according to your philosophy, to sell that uranium.
but you realize that you are setting up an impossible fantasy. That is, if you're talking of any natural resource that is vitally needed, it could not become vitally needed if it were that scarce. Not scarce to the point where one man could control all of it. So long as, I'm using your example, if a natural resource exists in more than one place in the world, no one man is going to control it.
All right, let's take another. How do we build roads, sanitation facilities, hospitals, schools?
Was it? Oh, I can't wait for this. What about the roads, James? What about the roads? Who's gonna build the roads?
Yeah.
Is Jordan gonna build the road? He's not gonna be motivated. You have to pay him. I'm like, then he's not the man for the job. If he expects money,
Yeah.
get out.
All right, continuing.
If the government is not permitted to force, if you will, by vote, taxation, use your word, we have to depend upon the trickle-down theory, upon the noblesse oblige, the largesse.
I will answer you by asking you a question. Who pays for all those things?
None of us pay for these things.
When you admit that you want to take money by force from someone and ask me how are we going to build hospitals or roads, you admit that someone is producing the money, the wealth that will make those roads possible. Now you have no right to tell the man who produced the wealth in what way you want him to spend it. If you need his money, you can obtain it only by his voluntary consent.
And you believe?
There's
We're
a
not there yet.
double-sided argument with that.
We're not there yet.
It's a double-sided argument with that because, okay, yes, they're involuntarily, or they're taking your money with taxes to make roads or whatever. But at the same time, let's say in a purely capitalistic system, one person has more money than the other, and they allocate more money to building a road than the other person, and they maybe have a larger stock. It's upstairs. They may have a larger stock in the road. Mm-hmm. Thus, they can say, "Well, I want this road to go around here, then come right up to my front yard, then circle out directly to the city. No traffic for me." So that could be unfair, as opposed to something that's governing everyone, saying, "This works for everybody."
Yeah.
Or someone having the money to say, "I want roads built."
I think that's you.
As opposed to someone saying, "I want roads built just for my area." And the other people don't have enough money to have roads built.
Yeah. That's my whole beef with, you gotta take care of the community. Like, what else are you doing? Your area?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's good enough, right? We'll wait till you dream at night. We'll wait.
I think they have the ideology.
I said we'll be waiting.
I think they have the ideology that they're behind. So they're like, what about us, as in to be up to that level?
Yeah, but
we're treated down here, so we don't want to be here. Yeah, but don't be surprised if they don't figure something out.
I didn't say they didn't, or they couldn't. It doesn't matter. No matter who or where. It's like I get a surplus amount of money, and I'm the mindset of 5 years ago. I would say, "Oh, you gotta help out, and that's why I would focus my attention on this area alone, rather than everywhere in the playground. I gotta fix the seesaw, man. I gotta, we like the seesaw. We gotta fix it. Versus, hey, the sandbox fucked up. The fucking jungle gym's messed up, man. There's needles everywhere on the fucking blacktop. Like, what's going on, man? Nah, see the seesaw.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Actually, I just thought of.
No, you don't think. No.
Like, wouldn't there be like a fucking auction for who gets the roads? Who gets the contract to make the roads?
Yeah.
Right? And they're going to shift it towards favoring them. Unless they do it for moral reasons. Like, we need to look after, I'll pay for it. We'll look after everybody.
Yeah.
But that's assuming too much, isn't it? That's assuming people will just be moral.
Sometimes it's safe to assume. With certain people. It's called trust. But then there's blind trust, which is not safe to assume. Is it safe to assume that Barack Obama is going to take the interest of the world's people? Fuck no. How about Trump? No. How about Clinton? No. How about Bush and Bush Sr.? No. No. Absolutely not.
No, you can say anything. You say Bob.
I'm just saying they're well known.
Like, you say anybody, right?
I'm saying they're well known.
Obama was after the fact, correct?
Don't care.
You're like, oh, okay, he's full of shit.
He participated. That means
participated.
He participated in tyranny.
After the fact.
No, he participated.
How so?
I could not do anything about these bombs being dropped, or I could go with it.
I think he voted against the Iraq War.
So?
Which is like a major war.
So?
Which has led to a bunch of other different bombings and shit like that.
No, hey man, I saw what you did. You're not the guy. Get out.
Fair enough. Alright.
Even the eventual goodwill of all human beings, or at least that top echelon of human beings, whom you believe will give willingly.
No goodwill is necessary, only self-interest. I believe in private roads, private post offices, private schools.
When industry breaks down momentarily, and there is unemployment, mass unemployment, we should not be permitted to get unemployment insurance. Social security we do not need. Will depend upon the self-interest of these enlightened industrialists whom you so admire to take care of things when the economy needs a little lubrication and there are millions of people out of work.
Study economics. A free economy will not break down. All depressions are caused by government interference. And the cure is always offered so far to take.
Systems are broken by corruption, straight up.
Once capitalism is corrupted, then it's no longer capitalism. Because it's neutral. Once communism, once it's tainted, it's no longer the original thing.
Even incompetence can be overcome if you have a moral backbone. You'd be like, oh, we fucked up here. I see why this is happening.
Yeah, like it's like a purple shirt. If I throw mud on it, it's no longer a purple shirt.
Yeah.
It's purple with mud on it.
More of the poisons that cause the disaster. Depressions are not a result of a free economy.
And one last question. We only have about a half a minute. How many...
You have as much time as you want.
I don't know. I'd have to look more into the housing bubble thing. Seems like they're offering loans up. Yeah, like offering mortgages and shit at a premium.
What?
The housing bubble? Right? They're like, oh, look at these lower prices no, they're giving loans away at like a higher rate or something. And then maybe some of the stockholders betting against it. I have to look more into it.
Scientists. You don't like the word, I beg your pardon.
Objectivists.
How many objectivists would you say there are in the United States?
It's hard to estimate, but I can tell you some figures. My best intellectual heir, Nathaniel Brandon, a young psychologist, is giving a series of lectures on my philosophy in New York. He has received 600 letters of inquiry within the month of January. He's giving these lectures, and the attendance is growing in geometrical proportion.
I'm sure that you have stimulated a good many people, more people than already have, to read your book, Atlas Shrugged, and The Fountainhead. And I'm equally sure they will be stimulated for the reading, indeed, if they do not agree.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll be back in a moment with my personal footnote to the...
We don't care about your personal footnote. It's like, dude, it's like he put like... put oil in his hair. It's like you could here, get it.
Moose.
Get a 45. Here. Shoot him. It's like boom, bounces off.
So this whole idea of, this is where it seems to spur from these other ideas, objectivism, or it's at the very least a part of what she's talking about. And even that one sounds incomplete. You need to see reality as it really is. It's like,
huh?
Who are you? You know yourself then. You know your entire self. You know who you are. To know whether or not you're obscuring your own vision on what reality is.
That's it.
I'm sure we'll get crapped on for the low energy,
You guys didn't change your voice enough.
lack of explanation.
Hello. I'm James, and this is Other Pigment Guy. And I use my words like this. And not in a creep. Look, dude, they change their voices to attract people. That's scary. And when you hear them bullshitting, and they really bullshit. What's his name? Turd Flinging Monkey? Whatever the fuck, right? Yeah.
He doesn't talk like that. I don't hear it. Doesn't sound like that to me.
Whatever.
Anyways.
Whatever, man. They sound really different when it's just one. It's just him and someone else just talking.
Yeah.
I'm talking blah blah blah. Top 10 pitchers. Why Nolan Ryan is the best pitcher ever. It's like, do you talk like that? Do you talk like that to your mom, man?
No.
Fuck no.
Subscribe if you want to. This was like a bad video for us, I think. Just like, I didn't have the energy.
No such thing as a bad video.
But it's out there. Fan request number 7. Ayn Rand and Mike Wallace in an interview. Matt Hunter, do not snipe us.
That's not an argument.
Alright, subscribe if you're new and you care to hear shit like this. Comments always welcome, even if you're shitting on us. And as always, thumbs down.